What's going on, guys? Ryan O'Toole back here again, giving you guys part 5 of my Spider-Man collab review series. We have finally reached that point, guys. The point where I'm just ready to burst out and explode and rant the hell out of this film right here. That's right, we've gone to the Amazing Spider-Man 2 part of this review series. And David O'Sullivan is here with me once again. Say hi, David.
Hi guys, David O'Sullivan back again. Excited to talk about Amazing Spider-Man 2. Not the best one, probably the worst, but it's still probably going to be a lot of fun to talk about.
Oh yes, it is. So, if you guys do not know by now, all of these Spider-Man reviews leading up to Spider-Man Homecoming are 100% spoiler-filled, so if you haven't seen any of the past Spider-Man films, just be aware of that. Or if you don't care about spoilers, then stay. So anyway, David, let's get started with The Amazing Spider-Man 2. As you guys know, this is the final film with Andrew Garfield, Emma Stone as the respected characters of Spider-Man. This was basically the last film before they handed some rights over to Marvel. And so, this was the film right here that made me scared for the future of Spider-Man. So, before I get started with my part of the review, David, what were your overall thoughts rewatching The Amazing Spider-Man 2? And maybe if some opinions have changed?
Yeah, basically my thoughts are pretty much the same. I mean, I like it less now than I did when it came out. When it first came out, I thought I found some enjoyment in it. I thought it was okay, but it really doesn't hold up, and it's definitely, you know, by far the worst Spider-Man film I think we've ever had. Because Spider-Man 3 isn't great, but I think it's perfectly fine, whereas this movie is just a bit like a complete mess. It's a complete misfire. It really doesn't work, and there's some things I like in the movie here and there, but for the most part it just really didn't work. It really didn't do it for me.
I 100% agree, David. I absolutely hate this movie. It's one of my top 10 least favorite comic book movies ever made. Everything about this film I really do not like. So let's get started with the cast. Of course, you had Andrew Garfield and Emma Stone back in the cast. And then you had some new additions like Jamie Foxx as Electro, Dane DeHaan randomly is introduced as Harry Osborn, and you also had Paul Giamatti randomly introduced as the Rhino, and Sally Fields is also back as well. So, before we get started, let's just go through the quick positives for The Amazing Spider-Man 2. And David, really the only positive I had for this movie is something we mentioned in The Amazing Spider-Man. It's the suit. You brought up the suit. That's the only major improvement of this movie. The suit looks awesome. I like the suit. I will admit that.
Yeah, it's definitely by far the best thing in this film. Probably one of the only really good things in the film is the whole design of the suit and the look of the suit, because obviously that was a big complaint a lot of people had with Amazing Spider-Man, and the one big improvement this film made over the last film, of course, was the suit. I mean, it actually looked much more like Spider-Man. It looks a lot more like the comics, you know, the big white eyes, you know, the bright red and blue. It looked way better. So, you know, even though the film around Spider-Man wasn't very good, at least the suit looked incredible.
Yes, I completely agree. And many people say that it's definitely straight from the Amazing Spider-Man comic books, and that's obviously a huge improvement because the first one looked like a basketball. So I did like how they improved that. So now let's jump right into the negatives, because this is going to be a long rant. The first negative I really had is just the performances overall. I mean, Andrew Garfield, yeah, he nails the Spider-Man aspect well, but just Peter Parker in general, I just do not like his interpretation. And Emma Stone as Gwen Stacy, I think she's completely useless in this movie. Like, what does she even do? Like, there's a lot of points in the movie they try to not make her a damsel in distress, and it just does not work at all. And this is one of Emma Stone's most blandest performances yet. It's her most blandest performance to date. And other characters in the movie, like Jamie Foxx as Electro, was completely wasted. Terrible villain in Electro. And I really like Jamie Foxx. I love him in Django Unchained. I'm excited to see him in Baby Driver coming up. But he just doesn't fit the character of Electro.
Yeah.
Like, it just gives so many puns, like, it's my birthday, Spider-Man, I'm gonna blow up my candles. What are your overall thoughts, David, on the characters?
Yeah, I pretty much agree. I did like Andrew Garfield and Emma Stone in this film. Their chemistry is believable. The relationship between the two of them is good. The movie probably focuses a bit too much on that, but even though I like those two in those roles, and even though I liked Andrew Garfield in The Amazing Spider-Man, here he's kind of less like Peter Parker and he's more just like he's playing Andrew Garfield. It's more just like watching Andrew Garfield and Emma Stone than it is Peter Parker and Gwen Stacy. So I do like those two actors, obviously, and I think they do an okay job, but they're kind of almost playing themselves, it feels like. It doesn't really feel like they're playing the characters. And I pretty much agree on the villains as well. Like, I was really excited to see Electro in a Spider-Man villain. It looked really cool in the trailers, and it was almost bordering on like a Joel Schumacher Batman kind of villain. And I remember hearing someone mention that his villain was like Jim Carrey in Batman Forever, and the more I thought about it, the more it was like the kind of same kind of thing, like the nerdy scientist guy. And yeah, it just really didn't work. I really don't know what they were going for there, but Electro could have been a really cool villain, and it kind of turned him into a bit of a joke, really.
Yeah, I agree. And the other characters in the movie, Dane DeHaan as Harry Osborn was completely awful. They made him an emo Harry Osborn. I don't get why, but the thing I didn't understand is why you have Harry Osborn in this movie and not in the first one. I mean, what they did with Harry and Peter's relationship here is completely dry. I mean, Tobey Maguire and James Franco, you buy them as friends turned enemies. Yeah. And here, Andrew Garfield and Dane DeHaan have zero chemistry throughout this entire film. And just give bland performances. So overall, the performances really disappointed, especially Rhino. I don't know why he was here, maybe just to set up the Sinister Six. That's never happened, won't happen. But that's another thing, Sinister Six we'll dive into. So now, David, let's talk about the action sequences. I mean, the action, people can argue that the visual effects and the CG look cool and bright, but I don't like it at all. Like the final battle, for example, was filled with CG that I just didn't like. And the whole scene, the electricity's going from bow, 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 bow. I don't know. I can't dive into how much I hate that scene. So the action didn't blow my mind.
Yeah, I kind of pretty much agree. I mean, the action sequences aren't bad, but there's nothing really kind of striking or memorable. And like you said, that whole final battle of Electro, it's kind of almost like bordering on like a cartoon, The electricity kind of doesn't really look convincing. It's like he's playing the old school Spider-Man theme tune. I don't know what's going on, but yeah, I did like the final fight with the Green Goblin. I like how they adapted that kind of Death of Gwen Stacy storyline, but everything else, it just kind of it's like the stuff with the Rhino as well. Like the Rhino was kind of really just shoehorned in there just to set up for Sinister Six. I feel like it could have opened with a really cool Rhino action sequence, and I thought that's what they were going to do, but unfortunately he was turned into a bit of a joke as well, and we just got him for like 2 seconds right at the end. So the action was kind of a bit of a letdown. There were some cool shots of Spider-Man falling from the sky and swinging around, but other than that, it wasn't very memorable.
So now, let me just talk about the script in this movie. The script is a complete mess. So many people wrote this screenplay. One of them, Alex Kurtzman, who directed The Mummy most recently, and also written most of the Transformers movies also. And the script here, you could completely tell that the script was written by unexperienced, uncommitted writers, and the script has so many subplots going on. Like, it doesn't even feel like a Spider-Man movie. It feels like Batman v Superman. So many subplots are in this movie that didn't even have to be in this movie. Like a Sinister Six setup, a Spider-Man movie. Just everything just does not work and made the script a giant mess. So, David, what did you think about the overall script in general?
I just completely agree with everything you said. That was actually a really accurate comparison, actually, with Batman v Superman, because it's the same thing. They just tried to stuff too many characters and too many storylines just all into one film, and it just wasn't. It just didn't have a one focused, streamlined kind of storyline throughout. There was just too much going on all at the same time. It was just like a real big mess. And like I said, it's probably my biggest complaint with the movie, because not only is the Amazing Spider-Man 2 stuff not that great, but the majority of this film is just setting up other movies, like setting up Sinister Six, setting up Amazing Spider-Man 3, like a Black Cat spin-off. There's like, they just try to shoehorn too much into one movie, and it's kind of highly ironic, considering it's like it was the end of the franchise and they didn't get to do any future installments. But they were just too preoccupied with setting up Sinister Six, kind of shoehorning other villains in there, and then obviously the stuff from Amazing Spider-Man they still had to tie up as well with what happened to his parents. There was just way too much going on all in the same film, and it was just a complete mess. It really didn't work.
Yeah, everything just did not work. So yeah, a lot of the script in general just made no sense. Like you mentioned Black Cat, Felicity Jones, who I totally forgot was in this movie. Supposedly she was going to play Black Cat.
Yeah.
And then everything tying into the Sinister Six, like showing Doc Ock's suit, the Vulture, Sandman, just all these things that could be developed later. Like, why would you have it in this movie? Like, one of the screenwriters, Alex Kurtzman, I mean, wrote the screenplay for The Mummy. That was a mess. I mean, in here, just, I don't think they didn't know what they wanted to focus on. And that's the end result that we got. So now I want to talk about the Sony product placement in this movie. Scene for scene, a Sony logo pops up. This was one of the things I was mentioning in my top 10 least favorite with Cedric Purcell. Just the thing that annoys the hell out of me with this film is I see Sony everywhere. Like, I get it. Not even Sony. I see McDonald's and all these other things in here. Like, this is the definition of product placement.
Yeah, I'm not sure if it's bad as something like, say, Transformers, but I completely get what you're talking about. Like, isn't like the opening scene with his parents, doesn't he have like a Sony laptop or a tablet or something?
Yeah.
And it's like a Sony TV. It's just, it doesn't bug me or annoy me as much as some people, but it does kind of suck you out of the film a bit when every 2 seconds you're seeing kind of the brand of like the company that's making the film. So I completely get where you're coming from.
Everywhere. I just can't stand it rewatching it. So now I finally just want to dive into the Sinister Six stuff. Yeah. All the villains in this movie pretty much tie into it. Electro, the Rhino, and Harry. But I just didn't get what the ending was all about. Like, I don't get why all these things need to be in the movie. If they got rid of all that, like, develop the villains more. Like, make Electro the main villain in the movie, then it wouldn't be as much of a mess. But I just don't think it would make anything better, to be honest, because the movie is just not that good. So, David, what were your overall thoughts? Just how they could have developed the villains more to make a more coherent, better movie.
Yeah, it's actually, and now that I think about it, it's a similar thing to Spider-Man 3, actually, where they kind of had 2 or 3 villains and they should have just focused on one. But the difference with this and Spider-Man 3 is, I think if Spider-Man 3 focused just on Sandman, or just on kind of Venom, or just on Goblin, it probably would have been a better film. But like you said, if this film focused on just one of them, it probably still would have been bad. But it was made even worse by the fact they just tried to throw too much in and have too much going on at the same time. And like you said, it was just so blatantly setting up Sinister Six, that whole ending scene where he's going to assemble the team together. I think they even had kind of Sinister Six kind of like logos or something in the credits, I think, or something like that. I don't know, I was kind of excited to see where it could have gone, but the film just didn't work, and I'm kind of glad it didn't do well at the box office and this was the end of the franchise, so they were able to make that deal with Marvel, because I really didn't want to see it continue with like Sinister Six spin-offs and just Black Cat, although they're kind of doing the same thing now, it seems like, with Venom and Black Cat. But at least now there might be a connection to Marvel. Like, back with this film, it was like Sony just trying to do their own cinematic universe. They just wanted to set up some larger cinematic universe for Spider-Man. They just didn't, focus on actually making a good film first.
Yeah, I agree. Also, one small scene that really bugs me, it's not really big, but there's so many parts where Peter brings up J. Jonah Jameson. Like, you see that email. Like, if you had J.K. Simmons back as J. Jonah Jameson, then I would have liked the movie more. So, in the end, guys, as you can tell, I really do not like The Amazing Spider-Man 2, and watching it a second time really was aggravating to watch. But all in all, nothing about this film, except for the suit, really pleased me. I do not like this movie at all. The way too much product placement, terrible performances, just everything about this movie I wish was so much better. And I'm happy that Spider-Man Homecoming's coming out and Marvel has their hands on it again. So, David, what are your final thoughts?
Yeah, pretty much the same as you. I think I might like it a little bit more than you do. I don't like intensely dislike the film, but it's definitely by far the worst Spider-Man film. It was complete misfire. It really didn't work. There were some redeeming qualities to it for me. Obviously, like you said, the suit looked great. I like Andrew Garfield and Emma Stone. I like their relationship. You know, the chemistry between the two of them is believable. So that works. They kind of saved the film, but everything else around them just really fell apart, and yeah, it just wasn't a good movie.
So with that being said, David, on my rating scale, I'm gonna give The Amazing Spider-Man 2 absolutely a 0 out of 5 stars. Nothing about this film I liked. Watching it a second time, it really made me angry. Just nothing about this film to me was that great, and it's easily one of my least favorite superhero movies of all time. So, David, what's your final ranking?
I think there's some things I like about the movie, but for the most part, it really doesn't work. It's definitely by far the worst Spider-Man movie. I even like kind of Amazing Spider-Man and Spider-Man 3 more than this. But overall, I'm going to give The Amazing Spider-Man 2 stars.
So, David, I just wanted to quickly go over, like, what are your expectations for Spider-Man Homecoming? What are you hoping to see?
I'm actually really excited for Spider-Man Homecoming. I'm probably more excited for some of the other Marvel movies like Black Panther and some of the ones we haven't seen yet. But obviously I'm still a big Spider-Man fan, and from everything we've seen from the trailers, I think they probably showed a bit too much. I'm like, please stop showing trailers. I'm sold. I'm going to see the movie. But yeah, it does look awesome. Like, there's nothing I've seen from it or heard from it that points like it's going to be a bad film. I'm pretty sure it's going to be really good. So I really like Tom Holland in the role. Obviously in the Marvel universe with Robert Downey Jr. as Iron Man. I really can't see how this could turn out any less than great. So yeah, I'm actually really looking forward to Spider-Man Homecoming.
Yeah, I completely agree. It looks really exciting. I'm excited to see Tom Holland yet again as Spider-Man. So yeah, overall, guys, that's our review for The Amazing Spider-Man 2 and our closure to the Spider-Man series leading to Homecoming. David, it's been an absolute blast reviewing and seeing these movies once again. Even though one of them, it was dreadful watching, but all in all, it was a great time reviewing them with you, man. So, David, just tell my subscribers one more time where we can find you on all your social medias and YouTube and stuff.
Yeah, thanks again for having me, Ryan. It's been a lot of fun going through all these Spider-Man movies, talking about them. You know, some really great, some not so great, but yeah, it's been a lot of fun doing these collabs every month. And yeah, you can find me on YouTube just at David O'Sullivan. That should be the first one that should pop up. And also you can find me on Twitter. Follow me at DA_O'Sullivan as well. So yeah, thanks again for having me, Ryan, and can't wait for Spider-Man Homecoming.
Yes. All right. And that's it, guys. Let us know what you guys think of The Amazing Spider-Man 2 below. Do you disagree with us completely? Do you love it? Think it was okay? Or do you absolutely hate it like I did? But let us know your guys' thoughts down below in the comments. So, thank you guys, as always, for watching this collaboration. And if you guys liked it, give it a thumbs up. And be sure to subscribe today for more content. All my social media links are in the description down below. Be sure to click that notification bell on your way out. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye!